Welcome to Voices of Resilience, part of the Iron Sharpening Iron universe, where stories of strength, healing, and hope come to life. I'm your host, Davina Lyons, also known as Mama Lyons, and this space is dedicated to amplifying the voices of those who've turned pain into purpose. Each episode, we dive into real conversations about courage, self-discovery, and rising stronger than ever. So lean in, take a deep breath, and be inspired by the incredible voices of resilience, because every story has the power to heal. Welcome back to Voices of Resilience, where we share powerful stories of strength, healing, courage, and rising again after life has tried to knock us down. I'm your host, Davina Lyons, also known as Mama Lyons. Today's guest is a woman whose life and work beautifully reflect what it means to rise with clarity, purpose, and authenticity. I'm honored to welcome Adyna K. Pressley, founder and CEO of AKP Innovations. Adyna is an award-winning author, global women's leadership architect, speaker, mentor, and host of the podcast Pressley On Purpose. Love that name. With more than 3 decades of corporate experience and a powerful personal journey of reinvention, Adyna brings a rare combination of wisdom, strategy, emotional intelligence, and soul-centered truth to every conversation. Her work has reached women across the US, the UK, Canada, and West Africa, helping them reclaim their voices, confront burnout, reconnect with their identities, and rise into the leaders and women that they were always meant to be. Today, we are talking about the courage to rise after you fall, what reinvention really looks like for women leaders. This conversation is for every woman who has had to begin again after disappointment, burnout, failure, loss, transition, or a season that made her question who she was. Adyna is here to remind us that reinvention is always available. Our stories still have power, and we do not need permission to rise again. Please help me welcome Adyna K. Pressley to Voices of Resilience.
Hi.
Welcome. welcome. I know our listeners are probably wondering why you and I are so giddy. So we need to share what the last few minutes have been like. Adyna, just take it away.
So, my life always consists of me doing everything at the last minute. And this morning I woke up, and because it's Father's Day, every Father's Day I go to the cemetery to visit my dad. And it was especially important for me to do that today because I woke up with such joy and peace. Each year, I don't know how I'm going to feel when I wake up. And today I woke up with joy and peace, and I said, I have to go to the cemetery. So coming back, I ran into a bunch of traffic, and I literally just ran into my office and sat in the seat to get on here on time. So that's why we're so giddy.
And I was panicking slightly, but not really. No, it was great. It was great. And while you're at it, Dina, go ahead and hang up your phone.
Goodness gracious. I didn't even know my phone was on. Let me turn this on.
Go ahead and hang up your phone. Well, you know what? We had a plan B. I love that. We had a plan B. We were going to either be on the phone or we were going to be at the computer. And I just say, you have made me laugh. I have loved every moment of it because we do not sweat the small stuff.
Yes.
We are live. People have to appreciate that and understand that this is real. This isn't fake, right?
This is definitely real.
Welcome. And we just got to get it started. But you know what? I love that you went to see your dad.
Thank you.
I love that you went to spend time there at the cemetery with your dad. So that was well worth every moment of anxiety that we might have had.
It certainly was.
Yeah, for sure. So welcome. Let's just get it started because you're about resilience and I'm about resilience. So for those who are meeting you for the first time, for the listeners who don't know who you are, what does resilience mean to you personally and how has it shaped you to be the woman that you are today? Let's just kick it off.
Okay, let's go. So, when I really realized how resilient I was after I got laid off after 34 years in corporate finance.
Okay.
That was not something I planned. But then again, who really planned something like that?
Right.
I was at the company for so many years and we had a solid foundation. So to be honest with you, layoff was something that we prided ourselves on that we never had to do in over 75 years. So when it happened, it was like a punch in the gut initially, because it's like, whoa. But then because at the time I was going through a burnout phase, because I was promoted to vice president of operations. And when I got to that level, now I'm dealing with things on a corporate side. So you're dealing with the politics associated with it. And as you know, finance is a male-dominated industry, predominantly a male-dominated industry. So to get at that level and to be put in that position and have to deal with all the corporate behind-the-scenes stuff, it was really starting to wear me out. So I was at the place in my life where I was looking at the front door. Because I was actually going to retire this year. They just beat me to the punch. But when it happened, it was like, oh, that feels great. Like, thank you. It was like, you guys really did me a favor. And at that point, you start looking at your life like, okay, so what is this going to look like not being Adyna, the VP of 30 something years in corporate finance and Adyna as Adyna, And when I got to that point, that's when I was just like, okay, it's time for me to do my own thing. Because I made a decision when I closed that laptop that day that I got the news that I never wanted to work for anybody else again. I made that statement and I said, I'm standing on it. So here I am. That's what resilience looks like to me.
Oh. Love it. You know what? That's real. I had a similar experience, so I know what you're talking about. And you mentioned burnout, and burnout is one of the things that I spend a lot of time focusing on. But I focus with educators, with teachers,
right?
Because we know that it's a different day and age. There's a lot happening in corporate, in classrooms, in hospitals, in everywhere. So people there's like a whole different level of tolerance that people have to have as it is. Now you're dealing with people who are stressed on a global level.
Yes.
So burnout is a real thing.
Yes.
It really is. But what I love is that your message has to do with courage.
Yeah.
Right. And so the courage to rise after you fall. Can you share what that phrase really means and why it's so important for women right now?
I think because we tend to be afraid of the unknown, so you get to this point where I wasn't expecting to get laid off. Then it happens. Then you're like, what do I do? Where do I start? Should I do it? Can I do it? But when you realize the power in you, that you can do it and you step out. And I always say, I said, I'm stealing this from Nike and just do it,
Right. You're not stealing it. You gave them credit.
You're good. You're good. that's where the courage comes in, because then once you get into it and you start doing it, I know for me, when I decided to just do it, I was like, I can do this. You don't realize how much experience that you have, what you've actually learned throughout the years that you can incorporate in, let's say, starting your own business. When I looked at my marketing experience that I had, and when I looked at my operational experience that I had, and when I started my business, I was already ahead of the game because I was able to utilize that. So that gave me the courage to say, okay, I can do this. I can start my own business. I can make sure that my voice is heard around the globe. I can, it just made you feel like I can do anything that I wanted to do. And I think that's the courage, when you really just do it and you stand in it and you just keep pushing.
Adyna, I want to put a pin in this because you just said so much good stuff. I don't want to go past this. Let's go back for a second, because you said you started recalling what you were, you had 34 years.
Mm-hmm.
All of those years, you amassed a great deal of knowledge and experience.
Mm-hmm.
And you just ran that down beautifully. And I want the listeners to hear that you have already something in your hands that will help you be successful. It's not about, okay, now I'm over here and I'm an entrepreneur and I have to learn how to do this, this, and this. No, what's in your hand, right? What's in your hand. And I love that you were able to recall that, reflect, and say, I'm already ahead of the game. I can do this.
Right. And I think we have a tendency to forget that, regardless of what you did in your past. You have to look at what I was good at, what I'm experienced at, how I can use that going forward, how I can incorporate that in my business. And then you take it from there, and then you build around that. And that's what I've found that I was able to do. And it's been, I have to say, it's been so helpful. And the funny thing is, I find myself talking to a lot of women. They pick my brain about that. They're like, let me pick your brain about how you started your business. And I start with that. I was like, let's look at you. What do you have? What do you bring to this? And then we work around that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What you bring to the table, what you're gifted with, what you are purposed to do. All of those things factor into the conversation.
Yes.
And courage is one of those things where I think that some people stop themselves before they ever get started, because things have been spoken over them, things have been spoken to them. And lately I've been listening to the messages that, because I pay attention to patterns, and when I hear something on a TikTok, or I start putting it all together. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I'm hearing a lot is, stop telling everybody what you're doing before you do it.
Yes.
Because not everybody is in your corner. Not everybody is, they may seem like they are, but they aren't. What do you think about that? Because that I had to learn. You there? You're muted. You're muted. Yeah, you must have accidentally hit the mute. That's okay.
But I still can't hear you. That's interesting.
Oh, you lost sound for me?
All right, we're having technical difficulties. Wait a minute. So you can hear me, but I can't hear you.
I can hear you. Let me take you off stage.
I'm turning up my volume. I don't know. It was just.
Mm-hmm. Can you hear me now? No?
I still can't hear you.
I don't know if that helps.
There you go. Yes.
Yeah. So this happened in another one of my podcasts, and this is a production issue. Okay. But you can hear me now. Good.
Yes, I can. Yes.
So the point I was making is that you don't always, people sometimes their courage is compromised because of things that have been said to them, or and then when you're telling everybody what you're doing, all these different messages are being thrown your way that can impact you negatively in terms of being courageous enough to get started. Do you
Yeah,
agree with that?
I totally agree with that. And that's why I call myself the quiet storm,
Okay.
because everything that I do that I'm working on, I keep it to myself until I'm ready to launch it and to put it out there. Because, like you said, negative things can be said and it gets into your head. Not everybody's intentions are good. They may not
Right.
have good intentions for you when you share, and especially when you're sharing good stuff. You're excited about what you're doing. And then you got a negative Nancy,
That's right.
maybe
That's right.
the dim your light. So yeah, I call myself the quiet storm because I do not say one word until I am ready to release whatever it is that I'm working on or whatever I'm doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I do think there are some people that just because somebody's listening and is going to say, well, not everybody means to be. Well, that's true. I know for a fact that there are people in my life that love me dearly and they mean well. But the other thing that happens is they project their own fear
Yes.
onto you,
Mhm.
because I wouldn't be able to do that.
Right.
I'm not gonna give up my 9 to 5 and whatever the case may be. Not that you have to give up your 9 to 5 to get started as an entrepreneur,
Right.
but I haven't clearly.
Mhm.
But I think that people do look through their own lens
Yes.
and say, that's not something I see.
Right.
And what I learned a long time ago, you can't see it because it's not your vision.
There you go.
It's
There you go.
mine.
Yep.
And I had to get to the point where I could hear people when they say things,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not my message. That's not for me,
Right. Right.
because I wake up with a whole different motivation. So
Mhm.
yeah. So I love that, the courage to rise after you fall. So let's talk about reinvention.
Okay.
You said reinvention is not a moment, it's a muscle. What did life teach you about building that muscle?
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. It taught me that reinvention has no expiration date, that reinvention doesn't retire. And I think what made me really realize that was I had did a session with I was doing a women's session. It was a bunch of seniors that started their own women's group, and
Nice.
they took me back to my old neighborhood. And it was so funny because when I got there, I'm like, when I got invited, first of all, I'm like, okay, so we're talking about women 65 and older. They're already retired. They're already, lived life. What could I possibly tell these women? What do I actually have to say that will resonate with these women? But when I got there and we started talking, and we talked about setting boundaries and it's okay to start over, doing something different, stepping out of your comfort zone. And I was so tickled by them. I was so tickled by them because they were really hanging off every word that I was saying. And at that point, that's when I realized, I was like, yeah, it is a muscle that you continuously build, regardless of how old you are, And at that point, that's when I was like, it does not retire. That's what I really, really realized. I was like, it doesn't retire. It continues to go. And it was one little lady. She was the cutest thing. She's sitting in her scooter and she was telling me about how she likes to go to the casino.
Yeah.
And when her mobility started to slow down, and she was able to get her scooter and she found her independence, and she was able to now be able to get her assessor ride, which is something that's out here in New York that allows them to get around, and she can
Go.
yeah, she can, do her thing. I was so tickled. I was so excited. And like I said, that was proof to me that that reinvention, it doesn't retire.
Love that. I
Yeah.
love that. The notion of it being a muscle, meaning you can strengthen it. You
Yes.
can reinvent yourself. Well, and I think it's really tied to still having hope, still having a dream of something you want to do or be. I'm 61. I'll be 62 this year. I do not feel it. Listen, Listen, great genetics, I guess. I know because I feel not a day over 45. I'm not playing.
I love that. I love that for you. Yes. I always say you're as old as how you feel. I always say
Yes,
some days I feel like a teeny bopper, and then sometimes I feel like I'm 90.
right? Yeah. But if you tell yourself that you know something, then that's what you'll believe.
Yes.
And so I'm still believing 45. I'm working on that. But I enjoy the wisdom that I embody.
Yes.
I'm grateful for the time that I've lived on this earth, and very much so still grateful for the ambitions and the goals and the dreams that I have for the future. And
Yes.
if I were to give myself an expiration date, then that's what would happen. But I'm not doing that. I'm not assigning an expiration date on any of that. I'm
That's right.
living and enjoying this. And if
That's
someone had told me when I was even 30s or 40s that I'd be podcasting one day, I'd be like, no, I wouldn't. I'm afraid of the camera. I'm afraid. 2 years ago, I actually did a video where I said I'm afraid to be on camera.
and you're
Now, now don't care. Because that's the other thing with aging, you don't care. You really
Yes.
don't. You're just
Yes.
like, whatever.
Oh my goodness. And it's so freeing. It is so freeing. And I think that has a lot, that's also part of the reinvention when you get to that
Yeah.
space where you just don't care about anything. And I always say when you don't care about anything, you're free. Nothing bothers you. You can go, it's just like, oh, okay, that's how you feel, or that's fine.
Yes.
Fine.
Yes.
It's the best
Yes.
feeling. Yes.
Oh, as Beyonce says, I'm so unbothered. I'm so unbothered.
Yeah. Really.
But that's a process too. Getting there. That's
Yes.
a process. It really is. To get to the unbothered stage is a process.
Mhm.
Women experience falls all the time privately. There's things that are happening in our lives privately. And we talked a little bit about that. We talked about off stage, you and I talked about love and all that.
Right.
What I'm noticing is a lot of women appear so strong on the outside, and then people mistake them for being Teflon. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, they got this.
Yes.
And but there are hidden falls that women carry. What do you see with that? Because you're experiencing this with women, helping women.
Yeah. And it's because I lived it, it's easy for me to talk about it with them.
Okay.
Because that's the thing. You have this persona that, okay, I have everything together, I gotta put on this mask, and
Yeah.
to appear that I'm strong, I have it together. And let me tell you something, there's been times that I've done that, especially when I was in corporate and I had like about, I don't know, 200 something people that was reporting to me.
Oh, yeah.
During that time, I'm trying to make sure that we have goals to meet, I'm still motivating them. It was just so much going on at one time. And I remember there were days before I would get on to a Zoom meeting with my team and I'm struggling. I'm raveling on the inside. But because I know that there's people looking to me, I couldn't afford to wear that on my sleeve. So I had to suppress that. I had to put that armor on and had to step out and tell everybody, it's going to be okay. It's going to be great. Look how great we're doing, and just keep that motivation going. And when I got to a point where I really had to step back mentally, because it started to weigh me down physically. I started to suffer from anxiety because of it. And I'm okay with talking about that because people find that it's embarrassing. They don't want to talk about it. Even if I've known people that had to go on medication to be able to manage it. And it's like, it's okay. It's not taboo anymore. You're not looked at a certain way anymore because this is a real thing that we have a tendency to not want to address. And when I got to the point where I felt that, yes, this is wearing this mask or this armor was too heavy for me, I had to step back and I had to start looking into my own well-being. So that is something that is very important to me in my life right now. I say, just like I can schedule to do this live with you and I can schedule to do a meeting to get a new client, I schedule time every single month to get a massage with my guy, Gilberto. And it's funny, I tell Gilberto all the time, I'm like, Gilberto, I'm gonna make you famous because I talk about you on every podcast that I'm on. Because it's something that's for me. It allows me to unwind, it allows me to restore, reset, and renew myself. Because it allows me to be selfish. We have to be selfish when it comes to our well-being, when it comes to spiritually, physically, we have to be selfish. So that's part of my routine. I tell that to every woman that I work with. We have to be intentional on taking time for ourselves, or we will totally crash out.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're so right. I'm thinking as you're talking, I'm thinking about not too long ago, a few months back, I fell at school. I was after school program. I was coaching esports, and I fell. Mm-hmm. And really the impact of hitting the concrete, I face planted. Boom. I did not, I knew how to hold my head.
Okay.
I was, this is important.
Right.
However, the rest of my body took quite a hit. I hit the ground so hard that I came out of my shoes.
Oh, wow.
It was one of those, look around, oh my God, did anybody see that? Yes.
Right.
A whole busload of kids did. But here's the thing, that triggered something in me. Up until then, I was going crazy. I was go. Then shortly after that, I found out I had an Achilles tendon rupture.
Oh.
So I could not walk. My left, it's been a journey. Mm-hmm. So with that, I was forced down for a few days so it could heal. Mm-hmm. And while I was in bed, basically doing nothing, reading books everywhere, you know how that is. You're going to do something, right? Yeah. I started, though, reflecting on my life and how with everything that I'm doing, and I'm sure you feel that same way, with everything you're doing, at the moment that you're taken out of the game because of physical ailment or anything, now what's it all about? So you have to take care of yourself.
Yes.
Because you're the only you have. And if you're not able to show up physically, mentally, or spiritually, if you can't show up the right way, what's it all about?
It's so true. It's so true. Yes.
And that's where I started really focusing in on my resilience message and how important it is to see it as a structure as opposed to just, a motivational thing. Right. So honestly, I love the work you do because, burnout, that's a thing. Ooh, you talk about burnout, how it distorts your brilliance. Talk about that. How did you learn to recognize when exhaustion was affecting your identity, confidence, or your purpose? You've touched on it, but I want you to talk a little bit more about it.
Yeah. And I really realized it when I was in corporate. And when I got to the level of VP of operations, because like I had mentioned to you, I think offline, when you started having to deal with the corporate politics in an industry that's predominantly male driven, you are faced with a bunch of challenges. And I was also, not only was I faced with challenges as being a woman, but also as a Black woman. So you get, there was times that you're undermined, the decisions that you make, people want to go behind your back, people are talking behind your back, people are trying to go over your head. Those were the things that I was facing. Fortunate enough for me, I did have support, like a male support, that was like, okay, no, whatever decision Adyna made, that's what it is. Even when they tried to go over my head or behind my back. And I'm sorry, I'm having a hot flash. Let me just turn on my fan. I am of a certain age, and I embrace it. I embrace it. It's all about authenticity. I what you see is what you get.
That's it. WYSIWYG. WYSIWYG all the way. I'm loving it. Adyna, I don't know why. I am so happy today. And you have just really
I'm glad. I'm glad.
Speaking of happiness, real quick, all you men out there, happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. To all you men. We appreciate you. Oh my God, that is so funny. Your camera was just going with you.
Yes. Well, yes, I was literally burning out as we were sitting here.
it's all good. It's all good. Yeah. So yeah, burnout does distort your brilliance, right?
It does. And so when I was going through that at the time, it really started. That's when I realized that it was a real thing. When I got to the point where I was being challenged, I wasn't, from the person that I was working directly for prior to me getting the other support, he was just not. Him and I was just bumping heads.
Right.
It got to the point where we would have a meeting, and when I finished that meeting, I felt like I physically wanted to punch a hole in the wall.
Yeah.
When I was like, this is a problem.
Yeah, this is a problem.
This is a problem because it's distorting the way I feel. It's distorting the way I respond to things. It made me have to stop and think before I reacted to certain things, because I felt like my buttons were purposely being pushed. So I had to try to manage that. So it really weighs down on you in so many different ways, on so many different levels.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then at that point, it was like, okay, now I need to set some boundaries, because if I don't, it's going to destroy me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's going to destroy me. So yeah, it does distort your brilliance, because I felt like there was plenty of times that I had to reel it in. I had to reel it in. And then also too, it forces you to silently check out. Because now at this point I started to check out. I was like, you know what? I'm over this. I remember the first time me and him bumped heads, I literally called my benefits department and was like, can you send me a benefit estimate? I need to see what my numbers look like because I'm out of here. This is what I'm saying to myself. So I already checked out. I was looking at the front door. I was like, retirement is coming next year, because I was like, I can't do this anymore. I just couldn't do it anymore.
Right. Yeah, because your peace is important. And when your peace is compromised,
yes.
And it happens in corporate, it happens in all jobs.
Yes.
It just depends. And it can be one individual that can make that difference. It's
Yes.
crazy. You can be just fine, and one new person comes on the scene and changes everything. And now you're dealing with some kind of spirit. You don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
you're dealing with it, right?
Yeah.
So no, I totally get it. When I'm talking about women, but if you're a man listening, I mean, obviously the same thing can happen.
Sure.
But we're talking about women because we are women and we
Yeah.
understand women. I don't know what it feels like to be a man. So my frame of reference is always from the point of view of a woman. But men experience some of the same things, right?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So
but I think also too, they handle it differently than we do too.
For sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
I do think, and I also think us as women, we handle it quite well, in my personal opinion, because like I said, we do have to put on the armor. It is a little heavy, but we're logical thinkers.
Right.
We're logical thinkers. And we also think of like the what ifs, the consequences that could be associated with this. So we can manage it. I know that I was very good at that. And those times I really wanted to show out, but
as women, our responsibility is home and hearth, right? That's, from whatever days we want to go back to. We're nurturers, true,
Yes.
but we're also ones that can sense danger, and we
Yes.
definitely know how to protect our young.
Yes.
So I believe that when you start looking at all those characteristics and you start thinking about how, who we are, and then you add the layer or the complexity of culture. What your background is, your culture, your race, what all those things matter, because we all have our ways of doing things. Right. And honestly, we have, I say all the time that many of us are resilient just because we've survived so much.
Oh God, yes.
We've experienced, and not just in the real time, but epigenetically in our DNA. So listen, I'm good. Sometimes though, if I don't stop and reflect, I will say something that I shouldn't. So it's important to freeze and think. And I heard you say that you did that earlier. I want to talk a little bit about the armor, because you said something that I thought was profound. You said you carry the armor until it gets too heavy.
Yeah.
I don't want to run past that. That is And our listeners need to know when the armor gets too heavy, you need to know how to respond to that. And you do need to respond to it. And that's something that you brought up, and you start thinking about, how do you know? Well, how are you going to respond to people, like you said, right?
Yep.
So for anyone listening, what start thinking about, is my armor that I'm carrying, is it getting to be too much?
Yeah.
And take a break, FMLA or whatever you think you need to do. Step back and take a break. Take care of you, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What does it look like for a woman to stop rehearsing her failure and begin rehearsing her rise? You say some great things, by the way. I'm studying you.
You want to hear something funny? I always said, well, first of all, throughout, before technology, we had no other choice but to use our brains. And I always said, I write way better than I speak. I always said that, because you can sit with your brain and you really can articulate your thoughts. So I've always been good when it came to writing. But I would say, to your question, being your authentic self. Being your authentic self, being true to who you really are. That's what I love about myself, because I don't take myself too seriously.
Yes.
I can be profound. I can write, I can write really well. I can throw some, gems out there every now and again, but I'm still going to be the same Adyna.
Right.
I think that's what I love about myself. And that's what I find when I meet other women, because it's all about aura. It's all about connection. It's all about vibes. And you can feel that, like if we immediately sensed it through the screen when we first met, we were laughing the whole time before we got on here. So it's all about being your true authentic self.
Absolutely. I had prior to what I'm doing now, I started back in 2018. I had Tribe Authentic Woman was my first group of women that we used to meet in person pre-COVID. Then when COVID hit, and then we had to go to the screen, I changed the name from Tribe Authentic Woman to Authentic Me. When I tell you, Adyna, that's why I said you and I are we're so on point with each other. I cannot wait to spend more time talking to you, because I evolved from focusing on authenticity to focusing on resilience. Just like you are, it's that same path. Because we know that's the secret sauce. It really is.
It is.
If you can't show up as who you are, then that's half of it right there. That's a problem.
Yeah.
I have I don't have it up now. I had it here, but I have a sign. I had taken it off the wall, but it talked about taking off the mask.
Yes.
We wear a mask, especially younger women.
Yes.
Younger people, because they're still trying to navigate life and figure out, if I do this is the reaction I get. If I do this is, and so part of living, they think, is sort of manipulating all of that to come out with what they want. And often what they want, what they're looking forward to, maybe more money, the right career, the whatever, they find that they have to, or at least they believe that they have to be a certain way in order to accomplish these things. Along the way, they're compromising who they are.
And I know I was guilty of that.
Absolutely. Me too. That's why we know, because we've been there. Absolutely. And it starts even as you're a child. When I used to do in my workshops, I used to talk about how between a mother and a father, how a child will learn what mask to wear to get what they want, even between their parents.
Yep.
If you're a daddy's girl, you're going to approach daddy one way. If you know mama is the one that's strict, or mama's maybe the softer one, whatever the case may be, we start wearing masks at a very young age.
Very true.
And then we just move right on through life, teachers, preachers, whatever, and you just keep doing it. Then one day you wake up and realize, this isn't serving me well. I'm not good with switching masks.
Right.
I'm not good with code switching, to be honest.
Right. Right.
At some point, I had such a hard time in corporate because I too was in corporate. I didn't start teaching until I was 50, but
Okay.
I was in corporate for many years.
Mm-hmm.
And I was that one in every staff meeting that people used to either roll their eyes or they would be like, wow, okay. Because I wasn't afraid to say it,
Right.
whatever it was.
Right.
And
Right.
the leadership would be either they liked me or they didn't. It was
Right.
no happy medium.
Mm-hmm.
But I always walked out of those meetings feeling good. Like I said what I said. I'm good.
As you should. Yes.
Well, but that takes time.
It
That
does.
takes time.
It
That's
does.
not something you do when you first start. I also equally remember, tears from being told, you're too assertive, not or aggressive, actually.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
went through that too. And
Yeah.
that's a part of what happens with us, is it not?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And it's funny that you say that because, like you're saying, I was guilty of it too. You're wearing a mask because you want to get to a certain level. So you got to play. You got to know how to play the game. You know how that goes.
Right, right.
You got to
Right.
know how to play the game. And when
Mhm.
I did get to the point where I got to, when I got to a certain level, first of all, I was realizing wearing that mask was exhausting. It was
Yes.
exhausting.
Talk about it.
There's a
That's
difference. There's a difference between wearing a mask and then there's also and reading a room. So I learned how to master that because I always tell people that's a skill. You gotta learn how to read the room. So you can still be your authentic self, but you just gotta read the room.
You gotta
So
read the room.
yeah, so I can go into a meeting, and at this particular meeting, I can be very opinionated or have I'm talking a lot in the meeting or whatever, trying to get my points across, and then I can go into a meeting that all right, we're trying to get their business. This is a $25 million prospect.
Right.
There's all men in here, and there's me.
Right.
I know how to step into that room and still be my confident self because I know that I'm the expert. I know what I bring to the table, and I can navigate that type of meeting. So it's so like I said, wearing a mask is exhausting, but being able to read the room and be skilled enough to be able to transition wherever you are and pivot or adapt to where you are, that's a skill.
Let's put a pin in that. Let's put a pin in that too. Let's back up a minute. I'm telling you, Adyna, you cannot go too fast with some of these nuggets.
It's New York and me.
I know. Listen, I know. I was born and raised in Connecticut, so I understand. Another thing I really understand.
Yeah, we're so fast paced.
Yes. But honey, what you just said is so powerful because here's the thing. You show up with your mask on all you want, but if you haven't done your work, if you don't know your stuff, if you have not really devoted time to your craft,
Mm-hmm.
and you open your mouth and what comes out isn't valid, you shoot yourself in the foot. I don't care what your mask look like.
Absolutely.
But you have to know your stuff. And this is one of the things that, as I work with younger and even I mentor teachers,
Mm-hmm.
you got to know the rules before you break them.
Yeah.
You have to understand what it is you're supposed to be doing. And so when you show up, it's like powerful to not only be authentic, but be good
Yeah.
at what you do
Yeah.
and how you say it.
Yes.
And so communication skills,
Yes.
all of those things are so important.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there are some people that are listening and they may be like, well, I'm afraid to say what I want to say. And I remember when I would do my authentic me workshops, I'd have people that say, I always keep it real. And I used to say, please stop using that as the
You saw my face. I was like,
I'm not talking about keeping it real. I'm
Right.
talking about being, oh my goodness. Your authenticity is important, but your ability to show up and be an expert is equally important.
Yes.
So you can't half step it. So you
Right.
do your work, you put your head down. And I know you had years where you were learning your craft.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially finance. Good on you, because that's not my thing. But yeah, I say that, and I worked for American Express. Okay, anyway, go ahead. But I was in travel.
But the same thing. And I'm the type of person, I'm not going to open my mouth if I don't know something. And if I don't know it, I'm going to tell you I don't know it.
Right.
I'll be
Right.
like, you know what? Let me look into that. I'll get back to you. I was okay with that because
Yes.
people respect you more that you were upfront with them. that you didn't try to, because like you said, you will shoot yourself in the foot, that you go and you use this mask and you try to act like you know what you're doing, or you act like you know what you're talking about, and people can see right through it. That's another. If you're not your authentic self and you're wearing these masks, and like I said, and eventually it's going to start to exhaust you, it starts to show through. People can see that,
Right.
So yeah, when I was in finance, it was important for me that everything that I talked about, everything that I had to touch it, I had to feel it, I had to know it. I'm still like that. I do not talk about anything that I'm not confident in knowing about it, because I had the ability to feel it and touch it and say, okay, this is what this is. I can talk about it, and I know. Yeah.
We got a comment from Miss Patty. She said, Mama Lyons and Miss Adyna, great topic, enjoying the show. Thank you, Patty. Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you. Lucy, appreciate you as well. So yeah, I just want to take a moment and acknowledge our listeners. I really appreciate that. No, you nailed it. You nailed it. So I think another piece of that identity is the next piece. Let's talk a little bit about that, because that is a major part of your work. It's a great deal of, so why is reconnecting with who we are such an important part of the healing and resilience?
Because sometimes we don't even know who we are, so we have to take the time to figure out, who am I?
Right. Right.
Who am I? Because again, with all the masks that we're wearing, or the armor that we're holding up, that tends to cloud our view of who we are. So when you take so it's important to me that, you have to step back and you have to strip yourself of all of that and figure out who I really am,
Once again, strip yourself of all of that. That is so important. Your values.
Yes.
I always start with values. I don't know in your work if you always go, like when you have clients, do you get them to resurface their values, what's most important to them?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I know that's kind of a key point, and I want people listening to realize that you have to go to where it matters most to you. What do you value the most? And I'll let you talk about that as well.
And yeah, my values have always been, well, actually my values was always a part of me, even when I was in corporate. Because it was all about my integrity when it came to my work. When I spoke about something, how people look at you, how people respect you. So it was all about my values. It was all about ethics. There's a lot of people who just do things for the sake of doing it and don't even care about how it's getting done. That matters to me, so ethics matter to me. And then, my values, how I was brought up, how I look at life, and and now in my business, it's all about my purpose, because now it's all about me. I don't answer to anybody else, so you're the face of a company when you're working for that company, and like I said, your values, ethics, all that stuff plays a part. But when it's yours, when you're the face of your business, that's when your values plays the part, and that's what matters to me most.
No, that's really good, because when you are working for yourself, your ultimate vision and mission is automatically aligned with your values.
Yes.
When you're working for a company,
yes,
there's a higher vision, mission,
yes,
and it may not align with your values.
Yes.
I worked for a while in an industry in higher ed, was for-profit universities. It was not in alignment with my values, because there were certain nuances and things that I didn't agree with. And that's part of where you're spending your energy. That's part of you holding on. Like for me, the armor was now, okay, no, I don't think this person is a good fit for this. I don't think, and you start, and even when I worked in healthcare, because I've always been a project manager in one form or another. So when I worked in healthcare administration, and I realized in in medical management, I believe that this child needed that scooter, but because it doesn't fall within a certain criteria,
Right.
because it's really about what the underwriters say,
Right. Right.
no scooter.
Right.
Well, the child has spina bifida. Wouldn't it be really nice for the parents if that child had a little scooter to get around at school?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
but well, we're going to need X number of this and that and this and that and so forth and so on. Well,
Yeah.
then I realized this is counterproductive for me. This isn't what I value.
Right.
The value in money, and I understand that because it's a business.
Right. Right.
And some of us find ourselves, career shifting, and our identities are compromised by situations like that. That's really not within our control. So
Right.
then you have to move yourself someplace else. Have
Right.
you had experiences like that where you felt like it was counterproductive to your values?
Fortunately, no, I did not. And the reason why I say that, because when I worked in finance, I want to preface by saying this: the first 30 years of my career, I loved it.
Okay. That's
four,
good.
last 4 was what would stress me out.
Okay.
But the first 30, I loved. And what I loved about it, because when you're dealing with people, when it comes to their money, first of all, it's very personal, and money makes you emotional. And because I had values, and because I had ethics, and the good thing about my company back then, under the old leadership, that's what they believed in. They believed in ethics, believed in the relationships. They believed in education, but they believed in readiness. So that was the rewarding part of my job, because we worked with, I would say, about 90%. I would say predominantly 90% of our business was nonprofits. So you're helping the people who do the good work do good work, know. And that's what I loved. So I got the opportunity to meet with their staff to help them to help them prepare for retirement readiness, to help them understand and learn investment strategies, to help them with oh gosh, I lost my thread. Sorry about that. To help them with their financial literacy and wellness. That's where I was going.
Got it. Yeah.
And that was the rewarding part of the job. So I was lucky in that respect, that I didn't have, that it wasn't compromised, because I got to do that good work. And then you see the fruits of your labor. And I remember I used to tell my clients, I would say, I guarantee you a year from now that the money you save, you're not going to be mad at me, because it's benefit in them, because the sad thing about it is when you're trying to teach people about money and they're not familiar with it, they're afraid. They're automatically afraid of a big company. They're going to take my money. What are they going to do with it? And I get to educate them like, no, this goes with you. This is your retirement. This is going to help you for your future. And when they understand it, and then they come back to you and you see the fruits of your labor, when somebody's like, Adyna, thank you so much. I'm ready to retire. And look how much I accumulated. Now let's walk to the next phase. That was the best part of my job. So I was lucky in that respect.
That is cool. I cannot believe how time is flying. I want to talk about your book. Rise Into You. Let's talk about your book before we run out of time.
Yes. So my book is Rise Into You, Reclaiming Power, Love, Life, and Legacy. And I always tell everybody that writing a book was not on my bingo card.
Okay.
When I was laid off and I decided to start my own business, I took a solo trip to Niagara Falls, and I took Amtrak, because I never took Amtrak before. So I took that whole 9 hours from New York to Canada, and I said I was going to use this time to reflect and put my business plan together and figure out my next steps after this layoff. But when you have that much time, 9 hours to sit with yourself, be still, you start to reflect. And when I started to reflect, I was like, you know what, this can actually be a book. So when I wrote the book from a place of healing, because I've been through so many things in my life. If I really wrote a story about my life, first of all, it'd probably be about 3 books.
Oh my gosh. Okay, good. I'm gonna have to have you back, by the way. But okay.
Yes. But when I reflected on all the different things that I've gone through in my life, and my life was, was pretty tough. I wrote it from a place of healing, because I learned so much from it. And I always say that had I not gone through those things in my life, I wouldn't be where I'm at today, And I think the biggest part of that was the foundation of me of when I grew up in New York City public housing, and I got to experience what it was like outside of that world, that there's a whole big world out there with so much opportunity. And then that's when I decided to write the book from that space. So it's a love letter to the readers, to my sisters, to the women who are reading it, basically saying, sis, I've been there. I know what it's like. You're going to get through it, and the feedback that I've been getting has been incredible. Let me tell you, the women that reaches out to me to tell me about my book, I cry all the time. I stay crying. I'm always crying.
Wow. I'm going to have to get it and read it, of course. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Wow. And we were just recently introduced. I hadn't even had a chance to meet each other offline until today.
Yes.
Because of our schedules. But can I tell you, I am so grateful that you were willing at short notice to come on, especially on Father's Day, especially knowing that you wanted to go spend time with your dad. I totally love the fact that you did this, and I appreciate you for it. Where can people connect with you, purchase your book? And I think all of this I do have in the YouTube notes and in the notes that are posted for the live, but just so you can verbalize it too. And then also learn more about the Leadership Reset experience. Talk about that as well.
Yes. So, like I said, when I was in corporate and I was the only Black face there, I didn't have anybody to that looked like me, that can mentor me, that was a woman. And I always feel like it's one of the things that I learned from the women that I've worked with is that they always felt like they were alone. And I wanted to be able to be that. I'm not a coach. I hate that word. That's just not who I am.
I understand.
Yeah, we are a part. This is a partnership. I'm here to walk this walk with you. We strategize on what it is that you need. I meet you where you're at. I don't do anything cookie cutter. Nothing cookie cutter. It's based on how you and I connect, what your needs are, and we take it from there. But you can find me everywhere under Adyna K Pressley. And like I told you before, I carry the K now in honor of my aunt, who I used to take care of until she transitioned from when she was diagnosed with ALS. So that's where the K comes from. On YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, everywhere.
I'm going to be in the notes. Absolutely. Yes. Well, I can't wait to read the book. As we close, what would you say the woman listening who knows she needs a reset but still feels afraid to begin again? What would you say to her?
I'm going to say what I said before. Just do it.
Just do it.
I'm going to say just do it, because if you got to have the courage to step out and to believe in yourself that you can, because if you don't, nobody else is. So you just have to do it.
I agree. And I want to add one more thing. Seek people out like yourself, right? Absolutely. Seek out an Adyna or myself or the collective women, find a tribe, find women who are doing great things. And even if you don't want to talk to them, watch them on YouTube, watch them for free, but get as much information. YouTube University is powerful.
Yes, it is. I learned so much.
We do. We all do. YouTube University is the thing. It's happening. But when I need to know something, I start searching for it. It's not going to come knock on your door. It's not going to come find you. You need to find the information. Let's see nice. So I've had some help with production, and your information is, yay, Boss B, our producer. She put your information in there. So it's wonderful in the comments here. Your website, your LinkedIn, your YouTube, everything is here. So I love it. Do not go away. I want to hang out with you for a few more moments because I have to laugh a little bit more.
I'll keep you laughing, girl.
I'm sorry. This has been a wonderful day. You think I was a father? It's just been a great day. But I want to give you your flowers. Thank you so much for what you're doing to help women. Thank you for again being on here. Please, listeners, like, share, all that stuff. People tell me all the time, you never remind people to like and share. It's like, 'cause I'm so into my guests, I don't think about that. This is just organic. I'm like having
Right.
a good time. But
Right.
I do need people to like and share.
Yes. Yes.
Like, share, subscribe, all of that on
Yeah.
anywhere you're watching this. We're streaming on Facebook, we're streaming on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, even.
Oh.
Um, um, I, I better have that right. Yeah, Twitch. One time I said the name of something I said Tumble, and it wasn't Tumble. Like, where did I get Tumble from?
Right.
I think it's a dating site. I don't know. But you know what? We are live streaming in a lot of places, and for people that will watch it in perpetuity. So just know this, know that you're reaching people. Adyna, I appreciate you so much.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks to everyone. We're at that hour mark, and this has been fantastic. And you will be back. And hang on, don't go away. I'm just going to say goodbye to our listeners.
Bye,
So,
listeners. Thank you.
yeah, there it is.